Welcome to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Wow, a lot of news breaking overnight. I can't wait to get into it. But before we get into it, make sure to text in 0457 736 736 or give us a call 1300 01 1170. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at SEN League. Also on Twitter at Captain's Run NRL. I mean, we've got some huge news, but I mean, we've also got some huge guests as well. We've got Elliott Whitehead.
Yeah.
Jase Bromwich joined us. But Smithy, how you going, mate?
I'm going good. It's been a huge weekend of footy and some huge news coming out of the weekend as well. I'm a little bit fired up, Kempy.
Oh, mate.
I don't know about you, but I'm just mind-boggling.
It is
some of the
ridiculous.
things coming out of the judiciary last night. Just, I don't know, mate. I don't know. Where are we at?
Like, are we watching the same game?
Oh, clearly not.
Like, it is ridiculous. It is like, it's the decisions. The thing is, I say in my podcast all the time, I can cop on the fly incorrect decisions by refs. We all make mistakes in the game. But the decisions where we have a video ref, but then also we've got hours and days to mull over it, that we still get this wrong, I don't understand.
Well, and the thing that I think frustrates most people and puts people in a lot of disbelief is the inconsistencies in rulings. Now, it's not just the judiciary. It starts with the MRC, the Match Review Committee, that grade indiscretions in our game. Now, a lot's been said about the Kaufusi tackle from the weekend against the Knights on Jackson Hastings. When you compare that to Joseph Suaalii the previous week, how is that tackle deemed a grade 1, which in turn was a $3,000 fine, but then Felice Kaufusi's a grade 2 and gets offered 3 weeks. 3 weeks. What are we, like you said, mate, are we watching a different game to these people? It's just incredible how off the mark we are with this stuff. And you can hear the frustration in my voice. And it's not just because Felice Kaufusi is a former teammate. If this happened to someone else in the competition, it's just awful. And what it's done is it's robbed a blockbuster game on Friday night of one of the best players in that Dolphins team, and a player that's helped the Dolphins to a 3-0 start. And I'm not saying that's going to cost the Dolphins a game and give the win to the Broncos at all, but that was a dead set G up, the result last night for Felice Kaufusi. I thought he went in to fight for the downgrade. He wasn't trying to fight the charge, to get off. He just said, look, have a look at the tackle the week before. Mine is very similar, very similar. A lot of people would argue that Suaalii's was worse.
I reckon it's worse. Easily.
Was worse.
I reckon it's obviously worse. Because even with the Kaufusi one, you can see he pulls his arm back as he hits him.
Well, there's so many indicating factors to show that he's actually tried to minimise the impact on Jackson Hastings. Of course, his movement was fast because he's committed himself to make a tackle, right? He's committed to make a tackle. This is the thing. He committed his movement to make a tackle before Hastings passed the ball. As soon as the ball left his hands, you could see his left palm actually faces into Hastings' back. He half follows through with his right arm to make the tackle, and it's a bump. It's a bump in the back at worst. Whereas you look at the week before, that was a direct shoulder into the back the back, and you could see the whiplash action. How does the MRC see one as a fine and the other a 3-week suspension? I'm not talking about he's now got 4. He's now got 4 because he went and fought it. One was a fine, no games missed, into Felice Kaufusi 3 games.
It makes no sense. And people will say, loading and, pass form, whatever. It still doesn't change the fact that one was graded grade 1, one was graded grade 2.
That's right.
So the loading has nothing to do with that grading. I honestly, I don't even know if it was a penalty. Like, I honestly don't even, because think about this. What is he supposed to do as a defender? Is he supposed to wait until Hastings makes his decision and then try to tackle him?
Yeah.
If he dummies and goes through there, they may lose the game.
Which is and that's the confusing thing, Kempy. Like, for those that have played the game and for those who have watched the game for a long, long time, can understand, that when you're a defender and when your team's defending, you must commit yourself to defense.
Mm-hmm.
You have to commit yourself to making a tackle. If you don't commit yourself to making a tackle, the opposition will run straight through you.
Mm-hmm.
They will run straight through you. So if you do that enough, you'll find yourself not in the team.
Yep.
The coach won't pick you.
Yep.
So that's the whole part of the defensive side of rugby league, is that you have to show commitment to make tackles. If you don't, you miss them. And if you miss tackles, you don't get picked.
Yep.
So what I don't understand what our officials and our match review committee and the judiciary are wanting our defenders to do in the modern game. I don't know where our game's heading with these rulings. I really don't.
My concern as well is I feel like we often are dictated by optics rather than the reality of what has happened. So let's say Hastings bounced back up and he's good to go.
Yeah.
We probably, does he even get a penalty? Maybe not even get a penalty. I'm not saying that Hastings stayed down or anything like that.
Yep.
There was a couple of weeks ago where a player did a hip drop tackle.
Yep.
The hip drop bloke got straight back up and played the ball.
Yes.
And I don't even think he got put on, maybe on report, but nothing happened from it. It's like a fine.
Mm-hmm.
If he does his ACL...
That was Marty Tapaua.
Marty Tapau, yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, Tapua.
Yep.
Now, if he does if he blows his ACL out, you reckon he's just getting a little slap on the wrist?
No.
Or because of the optics of it?
No.
And is that the way we should be handling, maybe it's the wrong term, but like legal proceedings by optics?
Yeah, I know. I think every time there's particularly the ball carriers, if something looks spectacular, we're very reactive to it.
Yeah.
Which we shouldn't have. This one though, I think it's straightforward. When you have the Swalihi tackle was across the MRC's desk the week before, it's 7 days later. Surely they go, well, we've seen a similar tackle to that only 7 days ago. Very similar. Yeah, okay. We can actually understand he's tried to pull out of that tackle a little bit to minimise the impact that he made. We're going to give him a fine also. The thing I can't get over is how we get it so wrong at the MRC. That's the first point where it's gone wrong. The disparity between a $3,000 fine and a 3-week suspension. There is the difference in the tackle it's just not there. It is plain and simple, Kempy, not there.
No.
And then to go to the judiciary and for the two panelists to agree, and then say, mate, on top of that, for coming down to stick up for yourself, we're going to give you an extra week. What the? Anyway.
Yeah, it's the consistency because, I think here's a good example is the obstruction rule, and stay with me, the obstruction rule. I see so many times where I'm like, that had no chance or bearing on the play, but I'll cop it because I'm like, you know what? We've made the rule.
Yes. He
did go behind the player. It is what it is.
Yep.
And so I think that's the most frustrating thing for a lot of footy fans is like, look, if there was a clear, Suaalii gets, let's say, I don't want Suaalii to get 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But let's just say he did. And then Kaufusi gets 2 or 3 weeks. I think we'd all sit here and go,
everyone's happy.
All right, I guess then that's the way we're doing things from now on.
That's right.
And that's where I find frustration is there's no consistency. And
no.
It's disappointing because we've had such a great start to the year in rugby league. It's been such good footy. I think it's the closest competition since 1975 or something like that. And then we have howlers like this where you go, what is happening?
Yep.
What is happening? Anyway, give us a text in.
Yeah, I'd love to
hear your
listeners' thoughts.
That's 0457 736 736. Also, Storm half, Jerome Hughes, also found guilty for his grade 2 dangerous contact charge on Tanner Boyd. He'll miss the next 2 matches. Look,
have you seen that incident?
I've seen that incident, and I think come on,
2 matches for. I actually don't know what dangerous contact in that particular incident is. He bumps him, okay, fair enough.
Yep.
He makes contact with Tanner Boyd.
Yeah,
Tanner Boyd. For those that didn't see the match, he's kicking the ball last play. Jerome Hughes coming out to put pressure on him. He makes contact with him when he's in the air and he falls to the ground, again, spectacularly.
Yes.
Now, Tanner Boyd, he's a good player and he's a tough player.
He's strong.
I've seen a lot of his footy games over the last couple of years. And I've seen him take much bigger hits than that and get straight back up and continue playing. So he's played for the penalty, got it, but then they give him 2 weeks. 2 weeks for that bump.
That should be a fine. A max, if anything.
I don't know. I'm so confused as to where we're heading with these type of things. 2 weeks for a small bump on a player, like that's, rugby league is, unfortunately, it is a brutal contact sport. And I know we're looking after, we're trying to look after players as best we can, but there is dangerous contact, and then there is contact that's made that's like that one on the weekend.
What do you reckon hurt? What do you reckon hurts more? Tanner Boyd taking a run it straight hit up, or that shoulder?
Yeah, run it straight. When he's taking the line on, he gets whacked.
Yes,
but then has to get up and play the ball.
Yep, it's much. Anyway, it's really disappointing because, as I said, it's been such a good year of start to the year.
And then I seen another one. I think was it Fletcher Baker. He got off his charge on he made a tackle on Campbell Graham last Friday night. Made direct contact with Campbell Graham's
heavy
head. contact. Direct contact. Now Fletcher Baker. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't intentional. He didn't go in there trying to smash his head in. But he made direct contact with his head. And I'm certain that message has been given to every NRL player, every NRL coach, that if there is direct contact with the head, then you're going to be in some strife.
Yeah.
Got off it.
Yeah, it is bizarre. It doesn't add up.
It's so confusing and frustrating, and I think we've got to fix the issues that we've got with MRC/judiciary. It's not right. It's not right that these players are missing games for these incidents.
Well, I think you look at Kaufusi's situation, he's been let down by the game here, in my opinion, because he goes up to Redcliffe, and the benefit the NRL gets by Redcliffe going so well is massive. Huge. And don't get me wrong, Kaufusi gets paid well, all that kind of stuff. So you get that out of the way. But he's also been a huge part of this huge buzz in Queensland and Rugby League of this new team.
The entire NRL.
And so, you'd hope that he'd get repaid the favour of at least a fair looking at what has happened and a consistent, application of the rules.
Yes.
Not any favour or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying a fair, consistent application of the rules as they are.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he hasn't been given that. We've got plenty of texts here. Hey, Kempy and Smithy. The only consistent thing about the MRC is their inconsistency. That's the greenkeeping rooster.
They're all fairly similar texts that we're getting at the moment, just saying very inconsistent. A couple of little jabs at the Roosters here, saying they get favoured. Don't know whether that's the right thing, but it's just it's very frustrating, mate.
Well, frustrating. Here's another one. How does Drinkwater get 2 weeks for breaking Oates' jaw, and Kaufusi gets 4 weeks and doesn't even touch the head? Again, it's just not consistent. It's the danger of everything, and anyway. And not to say Drinky should have got more or less. We're just looking for that consistency across the board. Anyway, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to get to your text and also chat about Anthony Griffin's coaching future at the Dragons. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cam Smith and myself. Let's have a quick injury wrap from round 3 thanks to Victor School and Sports Club Supplies. Visit victorsports.com.au. Smithy, who we got in the injury report?
Well, we got Hame Sally picked up a concussion, Tavita Totola, crook knee, and Big Shaq Mitchell, who I thought was pretty strong in the game of the weekend.
He's been fantastic.
Ankle. Ruben Cotter, knee, could miss a month.
Ouch.
Not great news for the Cows, who aren't playing well at the moment. So he is out. Wade Egan, concussion, and Mitch Barnett, neck, out of that very strong win for the Warriors. And Danny Levi, unfortunately, he's picked up a broken jaw, with Nick Kotrick also battling a hamstring injury.
Yeah, well, that is Victor School and Sports Club Supply, supplying school and sports throughout Australia. Visit victorsports.com.au. Now let's get to the huge news dropping yesterday. Dragons coaching dilemma. Dragons coach Anthony Griffin will have to reapply for his job after club officials informed him they would soon begin interviewing prospective coaches for 2024 and beyond. Griffin is in the third and final year of his current deal. He's yet to convince club officials he is the right coach for the future. Some other coaches up for the position are Jason Riles, Dean Young, Shane Flanagan, and Ben Hornby. What do you think about this, Smithy?
Well, I guess on one hand, you can understand the club asking for Anthony Griffin to reapply. If we run through his record, so he's coached 50 games at the Dragons over his tenure, started in 2021. So he's got 21 wins for 29 losses, winning percentage of 42%. 2021 finished 11th, 22 finished 10th, and this year currently sitting 9th. So it's an upward trend if you look at it from a positive point of view.
Yep.
And I know it's early; it's only been 3 rounds, but much better signs. Well, it's been 2 games for the Dragons. They had the first up bye, but much better signs from them. Huge win in their first game, and then last week, particularly the first half, really impressive. They were up for that one.
Yeah,
they were up for that one. Just were blown away in the end. You know, a bit of Reece Walsh magic once again at fullback for the Broncos. But I can understand when you look at those stats. You know, our game, the business is about winning. When you've lost more than you've won, I can understand the club asking him to reapply for his job. Now, I'm sure he's really keen to do it. We spoke with Benny Hunt on the captain's run a couple of weeks ago, and he spoke about Anthony Griffin, and he's not showing, or he's not giving off any signs of worry around his position as coach. I think he said that he was committed to the footy club and the team to get them in the best preparation, the best position to go and play well and play finals this year. So, it's good to hear that, he's backing himself. But now he's going to have to contend with a few of these guys. Jason Riles, he's assistant coach at the moment at the Roosters. Dean Young, he's up at the Cowboys. And Flano, of course, Shane Flanagan, he's at Manly. Benny Hornby, where's Benny Hornby at the moment?
He was at the Rabbitohs, I think.
Yeah, he's still at the Rabbitohs.
Yeah, he's still at Rabbits.
Yeah,
he's helping out the Rabbits. So there's 3 former Dragons players there, in Jason Riles, Dean Young, and Ben Hornby. Of course, Shane Flanagan, premiership coach at the Sharkies. Yes, 4 very good candidates to take that job, but we'll just have to wait and see how this plays out now.
My biggest look, I understand the whole process of has to reapply because the results haven't really been, they've been slowly better, but haven't been incredible. But what I don't get is how do we know about this? How does this help their situation? By releasing this to the public and putting more pressure on Griffin. Because now this is part of the news cycle now.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it kind of died down a little bit. The Dragons players had done what you would hope they'd do, which was play for their coach and say, no, let's silence the critics on Griffin and on our team. For 70 minutes, they were fantastic last week. It just, this Broncos side is just so young and explosive. That last 10, they just got away with it.
Yep.
That's my concern is all the best clubs, you don't see this information getting out.
Maybe they've got on the front foot because they might have thrown the line out to a few of these guys to ask of their interest. And rather than the rumour mill starting and stories getting around, maybe they've just gone, look, we're going to get in the front foot and just say, look, we're looking for a coach moving forward. Our current coach, Anthony Griffin, he has to reapply. He's part of the process. Maybe that's what they've done. But if it's something that was meant to stay in-house, it'd be pretty disappointing being a part of that club and that's got out.
I mean, well, if you're a player, do you lose confidence in Griffin then when you're well, is he even the guy? Or if you're a player that is one of Griffin's guy and Griffin really likes you, do you start stressing out and your footy gets affected by that because you're...
Possibly.
Yeah.
If you've committed to the club sort of long term as a younger player in particular, thinking that Anthony Griffin's going to be the coach, you got a good relationship with him, you like the style of coach that he is, I guess you would be a little bit concerned whether he'd be there the following year or years to come. I guess the main group of players that it does affect is those off contract and the uncertainty around who's going to be coaching. And some people may say, well, look, who cares? Just you're a footy player, you do your job, and whoever comes in, they'll do their job.
I wish it was that simple.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward if having that sort of mindset. But I don't mind the fact that players, they want to know who's going to be coaching.
Yeah.
They want to know who's going to be coaching and leading their team around before they commit, for the next however many years. It might be 2, might be 3, might be 4 years of their career.
Well, the coaches don't make or break careers. Players do. But a certain coach can want a certain style of player. For example, let's say I'm a winger and I'm a smaller winger. The new coach that comes in,
he might like giants.
He might like big wingers. And I'm sitting there going, well, it doesn't matter how good I play. I don't like this. He doesn't like the style that I play with.
Yeah, so he won't play me.
He won't play me. And then I'm sitting there going, well, I got no contract. And there's other coaches that might say, I like a finishing winger and then a big winger on the other. So it's not necessarily about a good or bad coach. It's about different coaches have different tactics.
Yes.
And so you need to kind of know where you fit in everything.
Yeah, that's right.
Going forward. So now we've got heaps of tests, guys. Just to let you know, Flanagan also played for the Dragons. That's from Oliver Kingsgrove. Hook, this is another text here. Hook went to the Dragons when the cap was not in a good place. It's finally in a good place when he could buy some players, and they say go apply for it again. The MRC is a joke with their gradings. Also, to answer your question, as to where the game is headed. Oh, this is a good one. I can tell you where you're headed, to having the most expensive OzTag comp in the world. One, the Eagle. One of your best, mate. We're going to head to a break. After the break, don't forget to stick around because we've got Elliott Whitehead and Jase Bromwich on the show. Plus, we'll get into all the biggest news in rugby league. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. I'm super excited because we have one of the best imports in the land, Elliott Whitehead from the Raiders on the line. Elliott, you there, mate?
I'm here, mate. Thank you for having me.
Mate, absolutely stoked to have you, big fella. The Raiders get up on the weekend. What I love for you guys about that win is that you have been battling the first 2 rounds and, just haven't been able to get the win. You battle again on the weekend and finally, it doesn't matter how you got it, you got the win. What was the feeling like in the changing rooms after the first win for the season?
Yeah, we're definitely pleasing, we knew if we stuck to our game plan, we could get over the Sharks. And, I thought the first half we did that really, really well. And we got on top pretty early, and the second half probably let ourselves down a little bit with the discipline again. It's probably been cost us the first 2 games as well, so it's something we have to fix up. But like I said, it was pleasing to get the win, and we had a big crowd at home, and it was pleasing for them to watch us get the win.
Yeah, you're at home, Elliott. Great win in front of your home fans. Tell me about Sticky, mate. Now you're playing against the Sharkies. He coached there. Tell me about his preparation during the week. He was pretty fired up.
Yeah, look, he's a very passionate guy. He wants to win as much as the players do. He gets very passionate, and obviously when you're playing against one of his older clubs, he wants to get one over him. And he made sure we were very clear through the week with his training and how we wanted to prepare for the game. And I thought we showed that, especially in the first half. Like I said, his kicking game were good, and we spoke about that all week. And it all came together on Sunday.
Now, I've been noticing Jackie White, and I'm not sure if this is just new to this year, but I've noticed a little bit more that he's kind of swinging both edges of the field. Is that something that Ricky's implemented, or am I off here?
No, definitely. Look, the more Jacko gets involved on the ball, the better it is for us as a team. He's a great player and a great runner, so to have him just flowing around the field and not just hanging out on the left is definitely a positive for us. And, the more he does that, like I said, the better it is for the team. So he'll be looking to do that more and more, and the better the combination with him, Jammer. And obviously we've got Seb Chris at fullback at the moment. They're just getting their combination together, and the more they can get better and better each week, the more positive it is for us.
And mate, you had a bit of an inconsistent start to the season last year. Sort of win-loss, went for that sort of for the first couple of months, but then you finished with a flurry and you got into the top 8. What things did you speak about in this pre-season to try and get a better start away to the season and try and bank some wins early?
Yeah, look, I think, last year we cost ourselves with errors and there's discipline. And, again, this year we started with a bit ill discipline. So it's something that we do have to fix up. Every team does want to get off to a good start. And unfortunately, we lost those first 2 games. But we knew and we believed in the system, and the confidence was still there going into this week. And, we got it all together this week against things. So we just need to back it up now against Newcastle. In
the big fella, Papali'i, how's he coming along?
Yeah, look, he'll be back this week. We've missed a big fella in the middle, but the other boys that have come in, I think Sam is solo. He's done a great job for us at the moment, and Big Red obviously getting over for 2 tries at the weekend. They've been doing a great job. So to add Papa to that pack is just going to help us a bit better. You know yourself, Cam, how good of a player Papa is and what he brings to a team. So yeah.
Now, Big Red on the weekend, eh? At his niggling best. Hey, what's going on? Can he throw him? He looked like he was ready to go, Big Red.
Oh, he's got a bit of niggly now. I think he just like to get over that try and get it into Royce Hunt. When he used to play here in the mate, so I think he got one over him at the weekend.
Did it? Now he's been layering up ever since the 2 tries. Now, has he called himself a try scoring machine or what?
He's been walking around with his chest out this week already. So yeah, look, I thought he started the season really well. Obviously, last year he had a few injuries and he probably didn't have the pre-season he needed, but I thought he started really well this year, and hopefully he can keep that form going for us.
Now, mate, you've had a long and distinguished career. You started, of course, over in England playing for Bradford, and you've been out here in the NRL since 2016. You've played over 20 games every year in the NRL. Now that you've been here for quite some time, how would you rate the NRL and the grind of playing week to week at that level?
Yeah, look, I think, the NRL is obviously the best competition in the world, and, week in, week out, you have to perform. I think in Super League, if the top teams don't go to some of the lower teams, if they don't perform, they usually come away with a win still, where if you don't perform in the NRL, then you're not likely to get the win. So it's just making sure you're prepared week in, week out and being consistent, making sure you're performing.
Now, mate, you were absolutely fantastic in the World Cup. England fell short, but I thought you played really, really well. What was you had so much, I guess, for me personally, you going in, I was a bit unsure. I thought, I'm not sure what their squad's going to be like. And then you play your first game and everyone kind of stood up and took notice. It was like, wow, England could really go all the way here. What was it, the feeling like after a obviously disappointing loss to Samoa and not making the finals?
Yeah, it was definitely disappointing. Especially for me, it's probably the last time I've probably played international now. And I thought we could have gone all the way. I thought we had the team. And like you said, especially how we started the tournament, we were on fire. And, unfortunately, it didn't go to plan against Samoa in the semi-final. And they got over the top of us in the end. And like you said, it was disappointing. But yeah, I think England's got a great future. They've got some great young talent coming through. Obviously, you saw Jack Wellesby playing for St Helens against Penrith a few weeks ago. And, they've got many more there that are just going to keep getting better and better as they get more experience.
And speaking of young guns from England, who's someone that you've got, you've noticed or was part of the England squad that you really think could come over to the NRL and make a massive impact?
Like I said, there's Jack Wellesby. He's a great talent. He can read the game pretty well, and I think Kai Pierce-Paul will go well. Obviously, he didn't get much game time in the World Cup. He's joined Newcastle, a back rower, and he's a big boy. So I think a bit of experience under his belt, he'll fit in well at Newcastle and be a good signing for them.
And mate, you got a pretty solid month of footy coming up until you get a bye in 5 weeks' time. So you take on Newey this week. Then the reigning premiers in Penrith, the Broncos up in Brizzy, and then the Dragons. What's the expectation for the footy side over the next 4 weeks with those tough games coming up?
Yeah, look, I think it's just us to be consistent and sort of discipline out. I think, it nearly cost us at the weekend as well. The second half, we probably give too many penalties away on tackle one and let Sharks off the hook. So it's something we need to fix up, like I spoke about earlier. But as long as we're confident and playing with a bit of fun and a smile on our face, I think we'll be pretty fine. And we'll take it game by game. We don't want to get carried away, but we need to back it up this week what we produced on Sunday. So looking forward to that one.
Mate, big Johnny Bateman is back in the NRL. Look, when you play the Tigers, surely the boys have got something for Johnny. Surely.
He needs some sun cream. Sun cream.
He's pasty, isn't he?
Oh, man.
He's very white, yeah. So, look, I spoke to John this morning, to be fair, and, it's his first game, and, he'll get better as the season goes on. I think he's a great signing for Tigers. Obviously, I have good mates with him from back home, and, he brings that winning mentality. He's going to be a great signing for Tigers, and like I said, he'll get better as the season goes on.
Oh, we want to see Big Red go after him. Get Big Red to see Red and go after Big Johnny. It'd be a great battle. Mate, going forward, is there any young fellas in your forward pack that have really impressed you in regards to some juniors? I know you've got Trade Mooney on the bench there. I think it's Mataori as well that was coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Any young fellas impressing you?
There's a few, to be fair. We've got some good young kids coming through. He's Claire Webby. I think he's coming back really good this year and he's in good shape and he's playing New South Wales Cup at the moment. Who else is there? The JJ Clarkson. I think he's only 19, 20. He's a big boy, and he just started playing New South Wales Cup as well. So they'll be pushing on the door whether this year or starting next year. So the depth in the forward's pretty good here at the moment. As you've seen, we've had Big Papa out, and the boys have come in and done a good job so far. So as long as I can keep my spot for a bit longer, though, that's all that matters.
I think you're pretty safe, mate.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just with Ricky Stewart, I guess, give us an insight into him. You know, we see, look, I love the press conference. They're absolutely fantastic. But give us an insight into him, I guess, that a lot of fans may not know about Ricky.
Yeah, look, I think he shows how passionate he is about the club and the Canberra as a region as well. You know, he does a lot of community work around here, and he's, like I said, very passionate. But yeah, he just wants to win. He wants that winning mentality, and he hates losing. He probably don't speak to you for a couple of days when you lose. So he's stepping on eggshells around him. So, but yeah, he's a great bloke. He cares about all his players and all our families and stuff. And you know, that's the thing that we all love about Ricky. He's a very loving guy, and you know, he's always got time for you one-on-one.
Mate, thank you so much for joining us, Elliott. I really appreciate it, bro.
No,
good on you, mate.
Guys, thanks for having me.
Good luck, mate.
Good luck this year, mate. There he is, Elliott Whitehead. He was absolutely phenomenal in the World Cup, and just a great player, just a real consistent battler. That, as you said, 20 games essentially every year.
Yep. Rarely
puts in a poor performance.
Yep.
And a legend of a bloke.
Yeah.
So thanks so much, to Elliott, for joining us there. We got some text here, Smithy.
We got plenty. Hook. This is going back to the Dragons. So Hook went to the Dragons. Oh, we've read that one. The cap. Yeah. Anyway. Afternoon, gents. Great to hear a couple of Queenslanders whinging, and it's not even Origin yet. Rhino Mike. Come on, Rhino Mike.
Come on, mate. Jeez Louise.
We'll see his whinging come Origin time.
Oh, yeah. There it is. There it is.
I shouldn't say that. That's just going way too early. Way too early. Way too early.
Afternoon, fellas. Love your call. Why doesn't the Rugby League give players the appeal option, meaning a third party is allowed to view and decide, has nothing to do with the game? Yeah, I don't mind that as well. A third party to have a look at it. Hi, guys. Heard you talking about drinking suspension. I'm a Cows fan. The Cows copped it sweet, though. Oates' contact to the head of Townsend in the same tackle got no comment. I'm still back at round one where Rapana's premeditated, in my opinion, contacted the head, ironically a shot Drinkwater, did not draw a penalty from the ref. Well, touching the bunker, had all day to analyse it. So no penalty on the field, yet a 3-week suspension. Rapana could so easily have broken Drinky's facial structure like Mitchell
hit on Manu. There's a lot of information in that text.
Yeah, look, I'm not sure, like, as in the contact to Townsend's head in the same tackle, Oatesy had the ball, didn't he? So I'm not sure what that is. But in regards to Rapana's, I mean, I think we're on the same page. We're asking for consistency.
Yep.
We're all asking for consistency.
Yeah, that's right. I think, I really think that's what we're chasing here. So, like, if we got like-for-like sort of incidents, let's charge them the same.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's all.
It's not rocket science. Let's charge
the same. Now, we're going to head to a break, but after the break, we got best hands thanks to Schnitz. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Thanks to the SEN app. Download it now and for free on the App Store and listen to it anywhere, anytime. This is the best hands thanks to Schnitz.
Schnitties.
What do we got here, Smithy?
Well, just firstly, Tommy, mate, 3 weeks now you've been saying Dan and I are having some schnitties after the show.
Now he
hasn't delivered.
Now my missus knows how. Now I know how my missus feels about the rubbish. Seriously, Thomas, be better.
Oh, we love you, Tommy. Talking about Tom's 1 point. Tom Trebojevic, Turbo, jumping on Josh Schuster, who played extremely well against Parramatta, his first game of the season in the 6th jersey. Jumped on that little chip kick to score against the Eels. What a great play that was. Just his ability, I'm talking about Schuster here, the way he went to the line and just delicately put that little chip kick over the top and sat it in the in-goal for Tommy to score. Wonderful play. But Tommy Trebojevic loves those loose balls on the ground.
And Tom Trebojevic, I feel like he's still in second gear.
He looks it. I actually think he's actually looking after himself a little bit.
Yeah,
he's just working his way back into it, which is it is smart. 2 points, Tyson Gamble. A little set play for the Newcastle Knights between the two playmakers here. Hastings got the ball on the right side. He turned his body back to the left and chipped back towards the post. Gamble had a little bit of work to do. He had to weave his way in between a few defenders. Got the ball, nice bounce, bumped off the hammer and scored under the post. Opened the scoring for the Knights against the Dolphins. But 3 points goes to Katoni Staggs. His juggling act, actually, of an Adam Reynolds grub. They put on a bit of a show, really.
Yeah,
in the
did.
end, the Broncos, your boys, they're going along nicely. We'll get to them a bit later. And then wasn't happy just with the try. Chucked in a little somersault too, just quietly.
Entertainer.
Just to finish it off.
Just to finish her off.
And then they seem like they're back in the post-try celebration sort of phase, the Bronx.
Yeah, this is our house kind of stuff.
Couple of cross me arms, look at the crowd, bit of these ones.
Look, I would have rather...
Did you do those?
No, I did. The worst I ever did was the jersey grab. That's it.
Yeah,
that's
that
it.
one.
But that's pure raw emotion.
That's Josh Adokar.
Oh, does it the jersey grab?
Yeah, mate, every time.
Mate, the jersey grab I can cop. I mean, I can cop a celebration, but the only thing with celebrations, I wish, let's do it later in the year.
Yeah.
You know, we've had 3 games.
Get in the 8.
Yeah, get in the 8.
Make sure you know you're playing finals.
Exactly. Then we can start layering up a little bit.
They're pumped. The young fellas, they're pumped.
But it's a different vibe.
They're loving it.
They love it. I mean, him and Ezra Mam, Reece Walsh,
Yep.
they deserve it. They deserve it.
I'll tell you what, if I scored a try this weekend in front of 50,000, I'd probably...
Layer up.
Yeah, but I didn't score many, so
What was
I was just really grateful. And I think my reaction was more of shock that I scored
What's
4
happened
points.
here?
I was like, holy crap, I don't know what happened then. Anyway,
Oh, mate,
they were my votes for Schnitties, though.
mate, I would love to see the great Smithy layering up after a try. Doing some kind of dance move from your era. It would be the best, mate.
Nothing.
Schnitz bite into golden, delicious, handcrafted schnitzels. Now, after the break, we'll wrap up our first hour. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. We are here for Chemist Warehouse. Head into Chemist Warehouse for great savings every day. Also, guys, we're giving away Ringers Western and Bloke giveaway 1 work shirt, 1 T-shirt, and 1 cap to the best text today. Or call, because you can call in 1300 01 1170. From paddock to pub, Ringers Western and Bloke have the merch collab for you. Visit ringerswesterns.com.
And can we get some listeners to text in to see if they, off my comments last week, if they check the Ringers Western website to see the model?
Oh, yeah, mate. Look at...
If not, hey, listen, if you're listening right now, guys, jump on the website right now and just tell me what you think of the model for the bloke.
Oh, one of your best, Smithy.
Ringers Western collab.
There was a photographer. He just told me what to do. I was just roped into it,
Where
mate.
was it?
Mate,
You're in some sort of corral.
It was St. Grego's.
Oh, St. Greg's.
Yeah, they got like a...
Ag school.
Yes. Tedesco came through there.
Yes. Ryan Hoffman.
Yes, great. A lot of great footy players. So, yeah, I mean, look, go to Ringers Western. You'll be able to see myself all dressed up. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Smithy. Thank you. Now we've got a text here quickly before we go to break. Hey, boys, love the show. Love having footy back. I'm a diehard Tigers fan, and the game against the Dogs, I finally felt a bit of love lost for the game. What advice could you give me to stick with the boys, because I don't see anything changing? Love to hear your opinion.
Oh, stick with them. Stick with them. It's a work in progress. New coaching staff, although those 3 guys have been there at the club for a past period. Work in progress. Couple of new players. It'll turn.
And when it turns, mate, it'll feel even better.
Happy days.
Happy days. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. We are here for Chemist Warehouse. Head into Chemist Warehouse for great savings every day. Have your say throughout the show. Call 1300 01 1170 or text 0457 736 736. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at SEN League. But I'm stoked to let everyone know we've got the great Jesse Bromwich on the phone. You there, mate?
Hey, bro. How you going?
Very good. Thank you. Very good. I'll get me your great mate Smithy here.
Hey, Big Jess.
Yeah. Hey, Smithy. How are you, brother?
I'm going good, mate. Hey, big news overnight. So we'll start with that and get it out the way. Felice, he was... a lot of people feel that he's very unlucky not to get that charge downgraded. What's your feeling right now as the skipper?
Obviously pretty disappointed. Fussy, has been a real leader for our team this year, and he's playing some really good, aggressive footy at the moment. And very disappointed to lose him for a month, but we've got to control what we can, and we've got to move on pretty quick because we've got a big game this weekend.
Mate, you are obviously brought up from the Storm to, lead the club, a new club being formed. What do you think you've learnt the most about yourself in this? It's been a whirlwind opening 4 weeks or 3 weeks for you guys, and you've done so well. What do you reckon you've learnt the most about yourself in this preseason and this opening few weeks?
That's a pretty good question. For me, I think just that, you can, I think, do things differently. Down in the Storm, everything was done in a particular way. There was systems for everything, and I'd spent my whole career down there, and I thought that was the only way. But to come up here and it's a bit more relaxed, and to learn a different style, I guess, it's been pretty eye-opening, to be honest.
Now, Kemby just mentioned about a whirlwind start, mate. Like, let's go back even to the start of the preseason. I remember talking to you in the opening match against, in the first round against the Roosters about the amount of commitments, being a new club, and there was a doco filmed about you guys, Dawn of the Dolphins. Have you had time just to settle in up into Queensland and settle into the new club?
It has been pretty hectic, up here. Obviously, footy's huge up in Queensland, and you get noticed a bit more on things like that. So it's pretty hectic like that. And I've obviously got 4 kids, and my wife, we moved up here, so it's been a pretty crazy 3-4 months, to be honest with you. But it's been really good. The kids are really enjoying it. Just been settling in. School was really good for them, so they're all back at school now and making friends and stuff up here, and really starting to become part of the community. So it's been a really good move. Obviously, didn't expect it to go so well so quickly, but it's been really good.
Mate, what was it like running out in Suncorp and being the home team rather than the one getting booed?
Yeah, I'm not sure about booed. Melbourne Storm always had a huge backing up here in Queensland. I think they had a real soft spot for our Queensland boys, but it was actually really good. I've always loved playing at Suncorp. It's one of the best stadiums in the world to play rugby league at. To run out there with so many fans screaming, and all the Dolphins colours in the stands there, and to have my family all sitting there too was really special.
Now, mate, while we're on that subject about Suncorp, this week's game officially sold out. It was sold out a few days ago, Kempy. It's just unbelievable. It's taken over the city.
So good.
Jess, do you reckon, has there been any bigger games, or particularly club games? I know you've played in some huge matches with the Melbourne Storm in grand finals and test matches, World Cup finals with the Kiwis, but as far as a club game, do you think you've been involved in any bigger game than this one against the Broncos this week?
Yeah, I haven't really. We haven't really got right into it, yet. I'm sure that getting the captain's run tomorrow, and tomorrow night I'll start building up a bit more. But it's definitely different. Obviously, being up here in Queensland, I used to watch all the Broncos and Cowboys games, and they're having those real tight games, and every one of them games are going to golden points, and the crowd and the boys out there giving everything. It was you're always watching those games, and it was always really exciting. So to be a part of it, really cool. Just being up there, like I said before, rugby league's just everything, and it's just everywhere. So you try and step back and, I suppose, not look at it so much, and not read so much, and not get into it so much. But we had a few of them big games really back in the day, all them Anzac Day games and games against the Warriors, and they were always really special to be a part of too, because it felt special, being on such a special day. So I probably liken it to some of our bigger Anzac Day games, but I'm sure running out there on Friday night is going to be huge.
Mate, going into round one, obviously, you were the underdogs by a huge margin. What was the kind of chat to the boys heading out against the Roosters that many people had as premiership favourites? What was because you've got to worry about your game, then you've got the forward pack, then you've got then you've got the whole team. What was the chat heading out before the game against the Roosters?
I guess for us, obviously, the Roosters are a real star-studded pack, but the focus was just on us. It was just on, we're a brand new club. It was, time for us to set a standard of what this club's going to be about in the future, and just really buying into that vision. Obviously, Wayne had some real special things to say to us, and he's really good at getting the boys up. I think that's a real specialty of his, and that's what I'm really enjoying about being coached under him. But yeah, just to focus on ourselves and how to set the standards as a club from day one.
Mate, how you just mentioned Wayne. Like, give us a little bit of an insight into his coaching. What are the main differences between him and, say, Craig Bellamy, a guy that you were coached for many, many games, or the most part of your career, barring the 3 this year? How do those two coaches compare? And what's the main differences between the two?
Yeah. So you know what, they're quite similar in the way that they. They're real hands-on. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but Wayne's really hands-on as well. They obviously both can be quite intense when it comes to coaching, and off the field they can really switch off as well. So I think that's where they're very similar. But then also they both like to keep things really simple. But I'm not sure what the differences are. They're very similar in a lot of ways, but I guess their approaches are just probably a little bit different in a way where Wayne's might not be as intense, I guess, sometimes. But it's pretty special to be coached by both of them. To be honest, they're both really good.
Mate, I've heard some stories. Now, tell me if this is true or not. If meetings go a little bit too long, say you're doing a preview of this week's match and you're watching some vision, the assistant coaches have taken charge. Does Wayne fall asleep in the meetings? Tell us. Tell us the truth, please.
No, I've actually heard that from plenty of people, but I haven't seen it yet. There hasn't been a meeting that's gone over an hour, so and that's probably one of the biggest differences as well. Melbourne, Smithy, we'd spend hours in that video room and previews, reviews, like so many hours in there. Up there, I don't see that as important as we did down south. So that's probably the biggest difference.
Now, speaking of differences, at the Storm, you had to deal with renowned pest Cam Munster. Now you're up at the Dolphins, and I've got it on good authority that a guy like Tommy Gilbert and Sean O'Sullivan really are taking the cake. What's it like having to deal with Tommy Gilbert and Sean O'Sullivan?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're as bad as the cheese is. Right up there, that fella, but they're pretty good. Sully, he really loves his footy. Like any chance he gets to talk to you, every time he just about footy, and he's just right into it. And Tommy Gilbert, he's been really good actually. As an outsider looking in, I thought he was going to be super intense and one of them guys that had to watch every bit of video and had to be the last on the field every single time. But he trains really hard for a young guy, and it's refreshing for me as an older guy to see like the young guy like Tommy want to be a leader and want to be in these leadership groups and strive to put himself in them groups. So it's been really good.
And mate, the family, as you mentioned, you've made the move up to God's country, up to sunny Queensland. Have you had a chance to get out and see the beautiful state? Have you been over to Fraser Island or Moreton Island or any places like that?
No, we haven't yet. Obviously, it's been pretty hectic with pre-season. Obviously, you don't have any energy to get out and do too much because it's obviously a very tough part of the year, and with the heat on top of that, man, I was getting dizzy and all sorts of But we do want to get around. I don't live too far from Bribie Island. We've been down the sunny coast a fair few times, so that's pretty much been it. Obviously, as a season, we get a few more days off and things like that. I'd love to get the family away for a couple of days when we get a chance.
And being a leader, with a guy like Katoa coming through, he's such a young star, rough around the edges still, as all young guys coming through are. What's it like working with a young fella as, I guess, So much talk about him heading into the season without having made his debut. Now he's made his debut and he has impacted games. What's it been like dealing with a young star like that?
Yeah, it's been really good. He's got a really level head on his shoulders. I was really impressed with the way he closed out our second game against the Raiders there. Sean, he got 10 in the bin at the end of the game, and as he really stepped up and led the team around, which I was really impressed with. But like I said, he just got a really level head on him, and he had that all throughout the whole preseason. He was able to go and impress Wayne and the assistant coaches and the leadership group as well, because he got that round one start off the back of the way he carried himself through a very tough preseason. So yeah, he's really he's one guy to keep an eye on. He's going to be a really solid first grader moving forward if he keeps knuckling down and keeps doing those little things. He'll be great for the Dolphins long term.
Now, mate, you're only one of 3 teams unbeaten in the competition so far after 3 rounds. What's the expectation on the footy side now moving forward? Not too sure how you'll be affected, moving through representative period and whatnot, but do you want to see this club? Well, obviously you want to see him, but do you expect the club to be playing finals come September?
The goal at the start of the year, every year, no matter what team or you're in, is always to be in the top 8. But that's a long way away at the moment. We're 3-0 and we're only looking real short term. We're just blocking it up and trying to build off performances that we've had so far. At the moment we're not looking too far ahead. We really can't afford to be doing that and throwing out big statements like that. But just being happy to really rip in and work hard and work for each other, I think, is where our mindset is at the moment.
Now, speaking of, putting big statements out, last week, a couple of the Broncos boys were doing apparently this is our house kind of rhetoric in the game.
Wow.
Is that something that you guys will potentially maybe look into, or how are you feeling about that?
I don't know what they do, to be honest.
Good mindset, mate. Good mindset.
Yeah, I'll let the other guys get into that. Nothing to do with that.
I don't know if you've seen Jase over the 298 games that he's played, but he doesn't get bored into that stuff, mate. There's no Larry's up. He just gets out and plays hard.
Can we just get if you score a meaty, like
surely
just one layer up, please, mate. Just something, anything.
I'd love to get off the media.
Oh, mate, thank you so much for joining us, mate. We really appreciate it, and congratulations on the incredible success. Yep. It's been so good to watch for rugby league.
No, all good, guys. Thanks for having me on, eh? Good to hear from you, fellas.
Good on you, mate. Good luck this week.
See you, mate. There he is, the great Jesse Bromwich. I mean, as I just said, what they have achieved in the first 3 rounds, the impact that's going to have on rugby league, you can't put a figure on it. Yeah. It's honestly been phenomenal, and from a season perspective, that's 3 wins in the bank.
Oh, that's banking early wins is so important, important, because then you're not chasing them in the end. Yeah, because like just mentioned, like they're not looking too far ahead, right? They just want to look at the near future, particularly Friday night's game against the Broncos. They want to go out and have a strong performance, hopefully get another 2 points in the bank. And then just go from there, because you just don't know what's going to happen. A month or 2 months in 2 months' time. Get them early when you can, and just go from there.
Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cam Smith. Don't forget, you can win a Ringers Western and Bloke shirt, work shirt, T-shirt, and a cap. The best text in will choose, and we'll send that out to them. But this is the holy schnitz moment, our favourite moment of the week, Smithy. What was your holy schnitz moment of the week?
My holy schnitz moment was, and I was there live to watch this game, which was a fantastic match. It was in the Roosters Bunnies game at Allianz, and it was Joey Manu's try-saving tackle on Isaiah Tass. So he looked certain to score. It looked like the Bunnies were going to score down their left edge, but Joey Manu somehow found his way back and just went whack.
Yeah.
And hit Isaiah Tass.
Match winner.
Knocked the ball loose, Roosters went away. It looked like they were on the comeback there. They were on the comeback for a win, but the big play there by Joey Manu, he had a huge game. Of course, he does most games he plays, but just another huge influence on the result of the game for the Roosters. That was my holy schnitz moment.
Joey Manu, the Rabbitohs Roosters rivalry is starting to stand out above the pack as a guy that impacts the game in some way, or there's something big happens around him.
Always. He's that type of player.
Now, my nominations. Now, I did this. I yelled "Holy Schnitz" for 10 minutes straight,
continuously,
just continuously yelling.
Really,
at the TV,
like repeatedly, or just one note.
One note,
the whole way,
like an opera singer, for 10 minutes, and that was the 10 minutes where the Broncos scored 4 tries against the Dragons. My God! I mean, look, I honestly think I've never seen a front have you ever seen a footy match where a coach goes to, I've got all these players that can impact on the bench. You know what? It's my front rower that can impact the game the most. No, not in the last 10 minutes. It's usually you're 14, someone quick around the ruck.
Yeah.
The Broncos have this unique machine in Payne Haas where he can just say, we need someone to impact the game. Boom, put him back on. And he sets up 2 or 3 tries.
Yeah.
It is absolutely phenomenal. I don't think we've ever seen anyone like Payne Haas. I really don't.
It's pretty handy.
Well,
you think, you probably look at, if you're looking at someone similar, maybe like a Taumalolo, through like those years where he went mental.
Yep.
And just was so important to the Cowboys. Most of the good things that happened for the Cows was off the back of a Taumalolo, but very different position that he's playing. Well, he's playing in the middle, but different position.
Payne Haas out and out front rower.
Yes.
Whereas I think Taumalolo, he was 13, so he could pick in. Not to say he didn't take the hard carries, but he was more built around the weapon in attack.
Yes, that's right. They'd build a set, and then he'd have like a certain carry where he'd get involved. Whereas Payne Haas he's taking back fence carries, he's taking tough carries, he's doing all of it.
Incredible. So, Broncos. The only thing I will say though is that first half we got a bit ahead of ourselves. It's a Achilles heels for a lot of young teams, is they think they can score on every set because they got such a good side. Yep. So hopefully we're patient this week. Got that winning taste right now. Schnitz, handcrafted schnitzels, made fresh and made just for you. After the news, we will be getting to your texts and calls because we've got 1,000 here. G'day, fellas. Do you think the Rabbitohs might need to go into the market to get a marquee forward due to injuries and that they just seem to get dominated in the middle third of the field by the top teams? I actually think that the Rabbitohs continually, not overachieve, but impress me by, I keep thinking exactly your thought. They need to get some forwards in, but their forwards always seem to deliver. I think they've been going all right.
I think they've got a strong forward pack, to be honest. And although they may not be sort of, your higher profile players or household names to everyone, I think they're a very good forward pack. And when they're at their best, and I know it's not just all on their shoulders, but they need help from other areas of their team. But when they're at their best, they can dominate any other forward pack in the competition. Just look to last year in that game against the return game against the Roosters. So they play that sort of nothing game in the last round because they knew no matter what the result was, they were going to play each other the following week. They come out the following game and absolutely dominated the Roosters' middle.
Yeah, I really like the Rabbitohs in the way their middle plays, like their line speed, consistently fast for 80 minutes. They're quite mobile. Like their biggest forward is obviously Tom Burgess, but outside of that, they're quite a mobile pack. I think the Rabbitohs pack is actually quite strong.
Yep, I like them.
Yep.
I don't think they really need to change.
No, and look, you're obviously going to get injuries and whatever, but I wouldn't upset the balance of that pack. The amount of depth, they had 4 front rowers out last week against the Panthers, and they even had one guy playing, I forget his name, I can't believe he's a good young gun coming through. He wouldn't have played, but they had no other front rowers, so he played in the middle.
Yes.
And he did a job against Panthers. They lost by 1 try.
Yeah.
So, look, I like where the Rabbitohs are at. I think they're doing fantastic. Stick with them. We're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to get to your texts. We're also going to get to who's climbing the Bailey ladder. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Make sure to text in 0457 736 736 or give us a call, 1300 01 1170. I've got some text here. Smithy, what Wayne Bennett has done with the Finns is incredible. The man is an artist. You may as well call him Leonardo da Vinci. There you go, Knackers. Leonardo da Vinci. You've been sitting on that, haven't you? Just waiting to text her in.
Good one.
That's a good one.
I actually like it.
I like it too. Leonardo da Vinci.
Da Vinci.
And the
Finchi.
Finchi, spelled P-H-I-N-C-H-I.
As in the Finns.
The Finns. Fellas, once Critic arrives at the Dogs, who do you think moves to fit him and where do you think he plays?
Ooh.
I reckon he goes fullback.
You reckon he goes there?
Yeah.
Is that what he wants to play? I think that he does, doesn't he?
I think he doesn't mind where he plays, but I think he can play. Like, he's open to playing there.
Yeah, okay.
And I think also he probably did sign fullback money.
Yeah. And you see a lot of outside backs, well, particularly like centres that can play fullback. Usually their preference is to play one. Just there's a bit more involvement. You're involved in the game a lot more. You have a bit more say on what happens in attack as well. So, and he plays outstanding footy when he's got the one jersey on his back too. We've seen that with Penrith. We'll have to wait and see there because they've got some good stuff happening at the Doggies at the moment.
Yeah, I probably think, in that back line, Kiraz has been incredible. Avarillo.
Well, of course, he's leading the Dally M's.
I know, it's wild. I love Kiraz. He's such a good footy player. You got Alamotti, young gun. I think Avarillo's been fantastic. You've got Addo Carr. In that back line, Hayes Perham, although he's been solid, I think he's probably the most likely to, if a superstar comes in, to make way.
Yep.
But he's got a whole season to go, no, hang on a sec.
Yeah.
This is my spot.
And he's a kid. He's a baby.
He's young as anything. And you can see the potential there. He's got great ball running, great footwork, really explosive. Just probably needs to work a little bit on his ball playing, and he'll be essentially the complete package.
Which is, when you look at all the great fullbacks that have gone, like Slater and Tedesco, They had to build that, particularly the ball playing aspect, into their football across their career. Like when they first started, they weren't the greatest passers of the footy, or creating opportunities for their outside men. Their weapon was their speed and their ability to run the football. I remember when Billy first came in, like he would tear opposition teams to shreds just by his kick return. Same with Tedesco. It just couldn't get a hold of him. But as they get older and mature a little bit with their footy, they bring in that ball playing aspect to the game, and Hayes Perham's the same.
I think the Billy Slater story it's not the story, but it's one of the biggest misconceptions in rugby league, that he was always the player that he ended up becoming.
No way.
Like, he was a winger basically at fullback.
Yeah.
Really fast, electric footwork. And he worked his ass off on his ball playing and turned into it.
Well, when he played his very first game, he wasn't even a fullback. I think he was going to play in the centres.
Wow.
I think he debuted with was it 3 or 4 on his back? I might be wrong. I might be making this up. I don't think I am though.
Okay.
But Robbie Ross was going to be the fullback, but he got injured before the opening round of the season, and so Billy went to fullback and just absolutely blitzed him. And then so that's how he got his opportunity. It wasn't until Robbie Ross actually finished playing that Billy went to fullback.
Yeah,
I think he was going to take up a position either in the centres or in the wing.
I just think it's such a good story for young players to go back and look at, so that you can. Sometimes when you see the end product of Billy Slater, it's almost unattainable. Like, how could I ever be that good?
Yeah.
But when you realise, like, he didn't come into the league as the greatest fullback of all time. He worked towards it.
That's right. Well, a lot of people get caught up. Well, you remember mostly a player's career like their last 2 or 3 seasons, maybe. That's what you remember, really. Whether it be good or bad, the way they finish, that's probably what you remember. But if you can go all the way back, and now Billy played for a long, long time. He played for 16, 17 seasons. If you go back to the very beginning, say 03, 04, 05, all of his highlights were just his own ability to run the ball, and just that freakish, as I said, freakish ability to beat defenders, slice defensive lines open with kick returns and jumping on loose balls, things like that. The ball playing part of his game, it didn't come till much later.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story, the Billy Slater one. The like how far he came as a player and how much he rounded his game. It's such a good example of the Storm system over the last 20 years. But we've got a caller here, Jase from North Parramatta. You there, Jase?
G'day, Chimpy. G'day, Goat. How's going?
Hey,
mate?
Jase. Good, mate. What do you got for us?
Yeah. I just want to have a quick chat about the Warriors. But before I do, I took your tip, Cam, and I had a look at the Ringers Western website.
Oh.
I'm telling you now that I've never seen a cowboy hat look so good. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Good stuff, Kempy.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate that.
No, that's all good. But, yeah, these Warriors, so that game last Saturday was quite amazing. I've never really seen them play like that. I'm a day one supporter. Them to be able to even implement the boa constrictor and kick to the corners and actually jam the Cowboys, they had absolutely no answer, which, again, I've never really seen that from the Warriors. I think they've tried to do that in the past. Mm-hmm. But that was amazing. And then the other bit I got was how hard even the outside backs were running.
Yeah. So
the example was Pompey running over the top of Val Holmes. I've never seen that. Like, that's just incredible. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. What did you think of it?
Yeah, no, I've been really impressed with the Warriors opening rounds. They're 2 from 3, and I reckon they could win again this weekend. There's no doubt about that. They're playing at home against the Dogs. The Dogs are taking some pretty good form over to New Zealand. They're playing at Mount Smart, I think it is, this time around. So back to their traditional home. And a big reason, I agree with you, Jase, a big reason why they got a victory against the Cowboys in Townsville was their outside backs. Their back five were just enormous. Like some of the efforts that they come up with, like particularly their running meters. So it's a part of the game that can really benefit your footy side if your outside men are making big run meters. If you kick returns and hard carries in early tackles of your sets, you just know you're getting away to a good start, and you're giving your key position players opportunities with the football in good positions. And like you said, Pompey, he finished with 150 meters or 15 carries. Montoya, 246 meters off 25 runs. Tuapiki, 150 metres, playing at 1. Mate, Walker. Wow.
Killed it.
He finished with over 150 running metres, so just I think they were extremely good. They've been playing, great footy all around. It's just it's refreshing, Kempy, isn't it? And this is a club that you represented in your career. It's refreshing to see the Warriors doing good things. They're sitting in the top 8, and potentially after this weekend, they could be 3 from their first 4.
Yeah, I think with the Warriors, it's just refreshing to see they're playing a sustainable style of footy. And when I say a sustainable style of footy, is that in the last few years, they'd come out and they'd play incredibly, and you'd go, "Wow, this is amazing!" And then the next week, everything wouldn't come off, and they'd play poorly. I just love that you're seeing systems being adhered to, styles of play, and they're, Andrew Webster, he's kind of flown under the radar a bit because, Seraldo was the assistant coach with the biggest profile at the Panthers, but Andrew Webster is absolutely loved and rated by the Panthers players, so much so that if you go and watch the All the Way documentary on 9 Now, Cleary actually makes a point to say, look, I know that Seraldo and, but doesn't say Seraldo specifically, but he says, I know a lot of the coaching staff get massive raps, but Webster for us has been so big and he does so much for the team. And so I think that, they've gone, basically, they could be 3 from 4, and they've not only got a new coach, they've revamped their whole squad. They moved on nearly 10 players last year.
Yeah.
I think they're in a really good spot now. The Warriors have had a history of breaking our hearts, but I think this is the most confident I've been that they're building something special there.
Yeah, look, if you look into the next 3 weeks as well, Jase, they've got the Dogs, as I said, at home, then they've got the Sharkies, who aren't travelling the best. And then followed up by the Newcastle Knights, both of those games over in Australia. But then they got the Cowboys again, a return game against the Cowboys over in at Mount Smart Stadium. If they could jag another, 2 wins, 3 wins maybe out of those next 4, they will be in such a good position coming up to sort of close to halfway mark.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, they played really well, and the next Storm player for you, Cam. They played really well for Tohu Harris.
Yeah, of course.
In his 200th game as well.
Yeah, that's right.
You would have loved it.
Yeah, and he's been so good for the Warriors since moving over there. Skipper, of course, and played in his 200th game. He's another guy that he's such a talented footballer. Such a talented footballer, and probably doesn't get the raps that he deserves, Tohu Harris, for the things that he's done throughout his career. He's a premiership player. He's played in many, many test matches for New Zealand. But the work he does on the field each and every week, coming off quite a serious injury as well. He had an ACL injury. Yeah, I thought they did a wonderful job in celebrating Tohu's 200th game up there and getting a win from him and making it such a memorable night for him.
Yeah. Awesome, boys. Thank you very much.
Good on you, Jase. Good on you, mate.
There he is, Jase from Parramatta, Warriors fan. Look, we're all excited about the Warriors for sure.
And we just got another text in here too. Hey, Kempy, that image on the Ringers Western shoot, it's given me it's got my attention, and it's made me go out and buy some Spurs and some chaps without the rear end.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
Look what you've unleashed, mate.
Kev from Camden.
Oh, look what you've unleashed, mate.
Camden, that's not far from St. Greeks. The shoot. Next time, the next drop of merch.
Yeah.
With the collaboration, maybe we'll get Kev to come out and
show us. Do you reckon there should be some bloke?
Well, he can go in the chaps with no rear end, and you get in your gear too.
Do you reckon so? We should release some bloke arseless chaps.
Hey, mate, you do what you want with that. That's your gear, not mine.
Oh, how good. Now, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to talk about who's climbing up the Bailey ladder. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Time to see which young players are climbing up the Bailey ladder. Worksite trusted for over 60 years. Smithy, what do we got?
Righto, nominations this week, Kempy. The first two, they're actually out of the same game. Isaac Fa'asua-Mala'awi from the Titans, younger brother to Tino, of course, skipper of the Titans. First game in the NRL, first game for the Titans. Only 21 years of age. He ran for 70 metres, made 15 tackles in just 20 minutes of footy. Really hot day too to be out there. They had drink breaks at the 20-minute mark. It was the same for the Doggies match down there in Sydney. So big effort by the big man, but I thought he showed a lot in his first up game. I'm pretty sure we'll see him play many, many more NRL games, particularly with the Titans. Off to my next nomination, Jonah Pezzett, playing in the halves. Made his, again, another debutant. He was only 20 years of age. Scored one try. He had a lovely touch on the left-hand side in the first half of the Storm. He just got the ball, put a little bit of footwork on the outside, went round, showed to his outside man, found some space, scored a lovely try to get the Storm underway. So he had the one line break, one try, a line break assist, and a try assist as well. Pretty good showing. And with Jerome Hughes now out for the Storm for a couple of weeks, I think young Jonah Pezzett, he might see some action over the next fortnight. He'll partner Cam Munster if he's back. Is that confirmed?
I'm not sure
confirmed back,
but I'd be surprised if he's. I mean,
he's named.
He is named.
I think he'll play. I think he'll play. He looked when I seen him last week after the game. He looked ready to go.
Okay.
That's my second nomination, and my third and final nomination was Paul Alamotti for the Bulldogs against the Tigers. Only 19 years of age. Kempy, 190 metres gained, one line break, and 2 try assists. Just a wonderful afternoon down there in Sydney.
Mate, that catch that he did on that bomb, the confidence to first take it, but then basically makes the break, knows he's going to get caught, slows down, gives it to Fox. Fox gives it back to him, and then for the patience to go, you know what, I'm going to take both tacklers and then just offload it.
Yeah.
Super impressive. That's Bailey Ladders bringing safety and efficiency to the worksite for over 60 years. This is the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. We'll make sure to text in 0457 736 736. Got some more texts here. Boys, did you happen to catch Dave Riccio on NRL 360 last night? With David Nofoaluma once again on the outer at West, he revealed that he contacted Melbourne, who said that they wouldn't close the door on welcoming Nofoaluma back. It would be a win-win for both player and the Storm. Your thoughts? Daniel from Prairie Wood.
Well, yeah, I think it would be. I think it showed the positives last year when Noffa went down to Melbourne. I thought he played some wonderful footy. He certainly helped in a situation that was pretty dire for the Storm. They had a lot of injuries in their outside backs in particular last year. Again, missing a few, namely Pappenhausen at the back, but they're still waiting for Jennings to return. I know big Xavier Coates, he's battling with an injury that he picked up in round 1 against Parramatta. Look, I think it's a positive for both player and club if that was to be made. Like if you're on the outer at a certain club and you're not going to be seeing any game time, and you've got the opportunity to do it elsewhere, why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, Nofoaluma has been such an interesting situation at the Tigers because when he re-signed, he was one of the best wingers in the comp, playing so well.
Yeah,
he seemed loved by the club, and I think he's played there his whole career.
Yep.
And then he gets the loan deal to Melbourne, comes back, and you could tell he kind of wanted to stay in Melbourne, and then he gets hooked on the weekend.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And if it's on offer, why wouldn't you? Because you obviously you know the place. Like it's not new to him now. He spent a lot of time down there last year. He scored 4 tries in the 6 games that he played for the Storm.
Yep.
And also, like he averaged well over 100 metres every game that he played for Storm. So it's not like he went down there and underperformed. He played his usual high standards when he was on the field. So if he's not getting time in first grade at the West Tigers, I think it's a no-brainer, really, to go back down there.
Oh, I agree. Now we're going to head to a break. Make sure to stay tuned because we're going to get to your texts and calls, and then we begin our round 4 preview. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Plenty of texts here before we head to a break. Jesse Bromwich leadership at the Finns has been inspirational. You may as well call him Finston Churchill. Knackers, he's back. He's
at
back.
it again.
Seriously, mate, what are you doing? Is he at work just thinking of puns? Is he seriously at work just thinking of puns?
Might be his day off.
Yeah, maybe. If Luke Brooks was a second-year player on 150k, do you think he would be playing reserve grade this weekend?
It's hard to say.
It's hard. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Look, I personally believe that it would be best for his footy to find a new club. I think that they're not going to get the best out of him at the Tigers. It just doesn't seem to be working.
No.
It just doesn't seem to be working. And I don't feel sorry for Luke Brooks because obviously he's on big coin. But at the same time, I want him. There's a good footy player in there.
Absolutely,
it really is.
Yeah, and when we've seen that, like in the early parts of his career, for some reason it just hasn't happened for him lately. But I think he's still got the best ahead of him.
Absolutely. After the break, round 4 preview. Here we go. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. We are here for Chemist Warehouse. Head into Chemist Warehouse for great savings every day. Let's begin our round preview. Thanks to Game Day Squad. Create, coach, and compete in fantasy footy. Eels vs Panthers. Thursday, 8 p.m, Bluebet Stadium. Madison is named to second row for his first game of the year, so Matt Doherty moves to the bench and Jack Murchie is out. Hooker Brendan Hands has been named to make his NRL debut off the bench. Panthers team news. Scott Sorensen returns to the bench. Eisenhuth drops out. What do you got, Smithy?
Well, it's a big game for Ryan Madison, isn't it?
Oh my God!
He took the suspension
over the fine
instead of the fine, and he's missed the opening rounds of the season for his footy side.
Apparently, they asked him to decide literally a few days after the grand final.
Really?
Yeah. So like
who the NRL did?
So whoever it was, they said. Basically, we need a decision because, like, Dylan Brown's come out and said they kind of rushed him into a decision.
Right.
And it was a few days after the grand final, and apparently Matto's just been like, "Oh, mate, he'd already been sick of getting fined or something like that," and he just made a rash decision.
Yeah. And then asked for it afterwards, and the NRL said, "No, you've made."
Yeah. And then said, "Look, can we do the suspension?
Yeah.
Sorry, the fine." And I think the NRL said no.
Wow.
So yeah. Unfortunate for Matto, but how do you see this game panning out?
Look, I think he'll be up for a big one. I think he would have been feeling pretty ordinary over the first 3 weeks, watching his team go out there and play and him not being there to help out. So he'll be in for a big game. I'm sure he'll play really well. He's a great player, Ryan Madison. They need a win. They just need to win.
However they get it.
However they get it, yeah. And look, the frustrating thing for Eels fans and particularly for their players and coaches, that they've been in all 3 matches to their eyeballs, up to their eyeballs. They took Storm to Golden Point. They were right there with the Sharkies, and then last week with Manly. Manly started really well, but then they come back with a flurry of tries, Parramatta, and I thought, well, this is going to be they'll win this.
Yeah.
And then they just fell to sleep. They just I don't know. It seems like they just clock off in parts of games when you just cannot afford to do that.
Mm.
And I remember a couple of quotes from Brad Arthur last year, the Parramatta coach, is that what he was always striving for his players to find was consistency within the 80 minutes.
Mm.
And that was their main issue, particularly in the start of the first half of last year. We all know, they came good at the back end and made a grand final, but they're just battling again. They're battling again, and I don't know. Are they still adjusting to the couple of new players, particularly Josh Hodgson playing at 9? Right, Reid Marnie was a big part of their team over the last 4 or 5 seasons. Are they still adjusting to having a new 9 there? I don't know. They've showed glimpses of really good footy, the footy that you expect Parramatta to go out and play, but they just haven't really been able to put together an 80-minute performance yet.
Yeah, Eels, I guess, it's so early in the season, so, take it with a grain of salt. It can turn around, all that kind of stuff. Maybe they go on a massive run later. The concerning thing for me, though, is that I would consider the Eels, like, they confirmed to us that they're potentially a powerhouse last year.
Yeah.
And you would hope they head into this year, lessons learnt, knowing who they are, their identity is strong and clear. And the first few rounds, I just think that they're still trying to find that. As you said, like getting used to certain things. And look, I understand, like new combinations take time. But, okay, for example, when the Penrith Panthers lost Appy, now, you're never going to be able to replace Appy. But everyone was extremely confident. What do they always say, especially when you were at the Storm? Yeah. Next man up. So they just slot straight in to the system that. And the concern I have with the Eels is like, we haven't really heard that rhetoric of like next man up. It's more like, oh, well, we need to readjust this and that. And so that's just the worrying sign I have with the Eels.
Yeah. But then you look at their lineup though, and they're underperforming massively, massively. Like Clint Gutherson, Sivo, Will Penasini, Wanga Blake, Bailey Simonson, Dylan Brown, Mitch Moses. That's your back line. Like they are seasoned players, and I know there's a couple of young fellas in there, but they've played more than enough games to get their job done. Then you go to the front row of Campbell Gillard and Junior Bolo, Josh Hodgson coming off an ACL injury, of course, but he was at a time one of the better players, not just in the NRL, in the world.
Yeah,
playing at number 9. Yeah, they've got a team that are underperforming massively, and now the challenge gets even greater. They take on Penrith, who have had a week off. They will be fresh. They'll be keen to put 2 points on their premiership table after a bit of a shaky start in round 1 against the Broncos. The Broncos played extremely well, but they got things back on track against the Bunnies.
Well, I
had
think
last week off, and now they'll be looking to really sort of get their season underway, I reckon, this week.
Well, I think it's like a really good example of like the difference of where the clubs are at. When the Panthers got ambushed, they didn't panic, or I'm not saying the Eels have panicked, but what did they do? They just went, you know what, guys, we lost, but we kept them under, I think it was like 13 points or whatever.
Yep.
They just went back to their old defensive, simple game plan the next week, got the job done. And whereas the Eels, when you look at like, okay, that first game, it was a low-scoring game, but every game outside of that has been like 30-plus points.
Well, they're conceding on average like 26 points.
Wow.
And then add that on to averaging 14 errors. So, 1 + 1 equals 2.
You're 100% right.
Well, it equals, it's going to be hard to win footy games.
Yeah.
When you're conceding that many points and you're turning the ball over as much as they are, like 14 errors a game, that's a high number. When you're doing that, what you're doing is you're making it hard for yourself to win.
Yeah.
And like I said, they've been in the 3 matches that they've played. They've had opportunities to win, but those stats they're key stats to going in and getting the 2 points.
Well, you look at like, imagine if you could bring that 26 points down to 12, and then you could bring that error count down to 6. Imagine this; they'd be blowing teams off the park.
Half it.
Just half everything. They'd be blowing teams, like, because their attack is clearly there. Like, points are not an issue.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can. I think I'd still back them in to make the 8 for sure.
Yep.
But they've got to definitely sort it out. But just quickly on the Panthers, interesting game for the Panthers because they could play on the emotion of we got beaten by the Broncos, we got beaten on St. Helens. Let's go back to the basics. How do you think they're going to come out against the Eels? Are they going to be a really simple game plan again, do you think? Or
for them, I just think take the emotion out of it. Take the emotion out of it. You've had a week off. I'm sure they would have taken their opportunity to freshen up a little bit. And just get their energy levels right for this game. It's a big game. It's grand final replay, as a lot of people like to coin it. But they go to Combank Stadium. There'll be a big crowd there Thursday night. Rival Western Sydney type of stuff. Take the emotion out. Just go there and play their style of footy. Get through their sets as you mentioned, Kempy. Go back to your boring old defensive structures that it's really hard to break their line. Make yourself really hard to score against. They'll get enough points to win it if they defend their try line really well.
Well, I mean, I think we discussed it last week, but as it stands, Penrith Panthers is still the best defensive side in the comp.
Yeah, and they're sitting fifth.
And so it just shows you that that's why they're the best. So it's a cliche, and I'm sure fans are sick of hearing it.
Yeah, well, across sitting fifth, they've only played two games. But if you have best defensive stats across an entire season of 27 weeks, which it is this year, they'll be sitting top of the ladder.
I mean, you can build everything off that. So hopefully the Eels can take a leaf out of that, and because their attack's incredible. So great clash. I cannot wait. I think it's going to be phenomenal. Now we've got Storm v the Tigers. Smithy, look, please speak to me. What is happening at the Storm?
I want to hear your thoughts first.
Okay.
Break it down for me.
Break it down. Well, look, from outside looking in, I know a lot of people will try and point to all of the outs the Storm have out. And look, I'm there with you. But the outs don't not drop the ball for you. They don't not miss tackles. Now, on the weekend, they actually were pretty good with the missed tackles. But before round 1 and 2, they'd missed the most tackles of any team in the comp, which is, I know it's a cliche that gets tossed around all the time, but that truly is unstorm-like. If there is one thing that you guys could do, it was defend, especially one-on-one.
Yep.
And so I don't know whether it's inexperience. I don't know whether it's fatigue. I don't know whether it's, they've got Christian Welsh, who's a senior player in the forward pack now. Outside of that, maybe there's not as many people to turn to as they used to. Whereas when things got tough yesteryear, Bromwich, Kaufusi, both the Bromwiches, they could just go, you know what, boys, can you lead the ship or lead the charge and we'll follow you. But unfortunately, if you keep leaking all those points and making all those errors, you're never going to be able to build any momentum.
Yeah. Well, if you heard Craig Bellamy's comments after the Titans match, they were pretty damning. And he give these players a real whack. He spoke about care factor. And he just doesn't know whether his players care enough.
Yeah, wow.
And the commitment to the team and to the jersey and to the game that they're playing, that, to me, that's the biggest whack you can get from anyone.
Yeah.
Is when the coach comes out and questions your care for your team and the jersey that you're wearing.
Such a proud jersey too.
Well, it is. Yeah, of course it is. And you can talk about the injuries and you can talk about the amount of young players that are playing there at the moment, but you are right. There's an expectation for those players to go out and make tackles and hold on to the football and make good decisions when they have the football in hand. The game on the weekend against the Titans, that's another game of football where the Storm, they were leading by 12 points just before halftime. They had an opportunity to go into halftime at 12 points up and take a really commanding position into the second half. But they continued to try and push the envelope a little bit with their football. And they were looking for opportunities to make line breaks. They were looking for opportunities to score points. And by doing so, they were bringing sort of low percentage plays into their game. A couple of errors later, the Titans, capitalise on, some loose passes, some loose hands, and they score points. They go into halftime down by 6. Only 5 or 6 minutes after halftime, the Storm find themselves down by 6. And it's just through that football where, they didn't have to play. And I think there were some moments throughout that, particularly, the second 40 and the last 5 minutes. So the last 45 minutes of the match, that's where I think Craig Bellamy made his comments from, was that he just didn't see enough care from his troops, from his players. and I think if you look over that game, mate, there was probably, a few of those errors come from some of the senior players as well in that footy team. So, I'm sure he would have put them to task in the review of that match. Would have happened quickly. It's a short turnaround for them. And they'd be back to business this week.
Oh, I hope so. Now, quickly with the Tigers. Adam Dewey has been moved to fullback, Staines to the wing. Wakeham will start at 5'8". Means Nofoaluma drops out. The Tigers, Api Coruscant is such a good example of, like, there were periods where Api Coruscant was looking like he was playing poorly, but it was because, like, no one was going with him.
Yeah, well, and in the end, it was just he was trying to do everything.
Yeah.
Which is not our game. It's just not our game. And Api's he's a wonderful player, has been for a long time, but he needs some help.
Needs some help massively.
He's making the tackles. He's trying to make dummy half runs. He's trying to set up players on the outside.
Something.
He's trying to do everything. But we all know that it's a team game. It's a team sport. Just get your individual roles done. Okay? Put some trust in your teammate. Get out there and get your job done. Your teammate will get his done. And when they do that, players like Api and Adam Dewey, the ones with that special gift, that special talent, they'll come up with the big plays.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I don't mind the move, actually, Adam Dewey going to fullback.
Well, it's an interesting one, though, because, I think Dane Laurie's on the bench. And so you've had a whole preseason, I assume, with Laurie. Like, there was some conjecture around Staines getting the spot, but Laurie ended up getting the spot. You move Dewey to the back. The thing is, it's like, you got to stick with it now, though.
Yeah.
You can't just go, boom, 1 week, and then he comes back. Like, you got to stick with it.
Well, that's the issue, particularly with your spine players. If you keep chopping and changing, in for 1 week, out for another, in for 2 weeks, it becomes so messy. And like, every player can't play a same style. So then when you're chopping and changing, particularly with your fullbacks and your halves and whatnot, the style of footy changes.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, week to week, like the other players around him just going, right, well, what game plan we got this week?
Yeah.
What style we playing this week? Okay, we're changing them. Then you just start getting confused, and it's not a great situation to be in.
Now, we're going to head to a break, and after the break, we're going to preview the massive clash of Dolphins versus the Broncos. Let's go. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Let's get straight into it. Dolphins versus Broncos, Suncorp Stadium, 8 p.m. What do you got on Fridays? We got Kaufusi, obviously, out due to suspension. Wallace returns to the bench. And Kurt Donahue drops out. No changes to the Broncos team that defeated Dragons last week. How do you see this match playing out, Smithy?
Oh, it's the game of the season, I reckon, for many reasons. But yeah, just the rivalry. First time we get to see the Dolphins playing against the Broncos, the crosstown rivals. Plenty of storylines involved. It's, new team against established team. Wayne Bennett versus Kevy Walters, the former captain-coach combo of the Bronx. I think that I'm so excited for this. Sold out. It's just, there's no better feeling than running out in front of a huge crowd at Suncorp Stadium. Just wondering how much of an impact Felice Kaufusi's suspension will have on the Dolphins. He's been so integral to the start of their season, the 3 wins. And, he's had good impact with the football, with his carries and his combinations out on that edge. But his defence, for mine, and, we've just mentioned defence before about how important it is. His defensive efforts and some of the plays that he's come up with in the 3 games that have changed the game for the Dolphins when they haven't particularly sort of had momentum or had control of the game. He's come up with some big plays where he's got turnovers out of the opposition ball carriers and given the Dolphins opportunities with the ball. So interested to see how much of an impact his absence will have on the team. Speaking with Jesse Bromwich earlier, the captain, he seemed cool as a cucumber. He seemed relaxed.
Yeah.
He didn't seem like a person that was worried about the occasion or the opposition or a little bit apprehensive about, what the result's going to be. He seemed pretty relaxed and ready to go for this one. He just mentioned, the boys are good. Felice is out and that's out of our control. We're just going to control what we control. So, that's for a lot of, Dolphins fans out there, that'd be reassuring to hear, his positivity around that. But the Broncos, you cannot ignore the start that they've had and the fashion that in which they've gone out and played in the first 3 games. Really tough win first up at one of the hardest places to win a footy game, and that's down in Penrith against the reigning premiers. And then just 2 really impressive wins afterwards against the Cowboys, of course, and then the Dragons. Took them a little bit to get going against the Dragons. And I'll get you to touch on your thoughts on the way they went about that game. But once they clicked into gear, they looked really, really good.
Yeah, you're right. Took a while to go, the Broncos last week, and I hope the players, I know Kevy wouldn't, I hope the players aren't getting caught up in that score, going 40-18, how good are we? We've just touched the Dragons up, because you didn't really, in reality, it doesn't reflect a dominant 80-minute display. The Dragons probably had the upper hand for at least 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was all due to the fact that the Broncos just wouldn't build any pressure. And it's all well and good having some of the most explosive forward pack in the comp, or at least close to, and some of the best outside backs in the comp, or close to. But unless you build pressure, and you're never going to win the big matches.
Yeah, and going off the first 3 rounds, we're not going to know how the Dolphins play until we see them run out on Friday night and the game unfolds. But going off their first 3 rounds, one of their strong points is they've given the opposition nothing. Their completion rates are high. I think they've been completing up around the 80 sort of %. And that's typical of a Wayne Bennett coached team. It's going to be a great game. A great game. I reckon this will be really tight deep into the second half. Maybe whoever's controlling the ball more, they may just take it out.
Well, both teams, last 10 minutes of the weekend, scored a bunch of points.
Took them all the way to the end.
Yep. Now, on to the Cowboys v. the Titans. Griffin Neem replaces Ruben Cotter, who's out with a knee injury. And no changes to the team that beat the Storm last week, the Titans. How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, well, I think the Titans will be extremely happy with their victory over the Storm on the weekend. The result was great. Not sure if they'd be entirely happy with the points conceded on the way to a victory. They conceded, 32 points or something like that. Pretty close to, it was about 30 points. Cowboys been probably one of the more disappointing teams of the opening rounds. I've had these guys as premiers in 2023. Not saying they can't do it. Again, early days, but a lot of their players out of last year that performed really well, they've been very quiet to start the year. Been very quiet. And a huge out from Ruben Cotter, who gets through a mountain of work.
And Scotty Drinkwater as well.
In the middle, Scotty Drinkwater. Griffin Neem comes back. Great to see Griffin back. He did his ACL last year, missed nearly the whole season. So great to see him back. No changes for the Titans. Wonder what happened with Foz.
That was interesting.
Yeah, that was strange because he got back on the field.
Yeah, and Coach Holbrook basically said because it was hot, he was going to bring him off and then bring him back on.
He got the old fella's card.
Apparently, I'm not sure. But I'm just, maybe that was the reason. We can only believe what he says. But Kieran Foran, I personally I wouldn't take him off the field.
Yeah, unless there was some sort of your he had physically at that point in time. Like, as you said, we don't know. But, it was a strange one to take your half off, particularly your leader.
Yeah, mate, he's a marquee signing.
Yeah.
In such a big clash too. You're not playing, obviously every clash is big, but you're playing the Storm. You want your most experienced blokes on the field.
Yeah, that's right.
As long as possible.
Yeah. I think Todd Payton would have put a huge challenge on this Cowboys team to get out there and play a style of footy they want to play at home because they would have been extremely disappointed with that result last week.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Cowboys, look, if they go down to the Titans at home, it starts to become really concerning because, as we've both said, I see them as a premiership threat this year.
Yeah.
And the Warriors just completely out-enthused and outplayed them last week. The Titans, look, they'll be super confident beating the Storm. Just got to sort the defence out. I speak about it all the time. I'm sure the community's getting sick of me speaking about it. The positive is that, even with Foran off the field, Campbell came on, did a job. Tanner Boyd seems to be growing each week.
Yep.
AJ Brimson, absolutely fantastic. Moe Fotuaika was really good last week, which is good signs for them because, so much focus on Tino, but Moe Fotuaika, he's played Origin and played well in one of the games that he did play.
Yep.
So I'm really keen to see how he continues to develop because I feel like last year he went a bit quiet. I hope he continues back on the path that he seems to be on this year.
Yep. And they got an exciting roster as well, Titans. So if they go up there and they have that same enthusiasm that they played with last week, when when they get opportunities, like look at their first try. They played from deep inside their own half, scored nearly a length of the field try. They can do it against anyone. So if they take that same enthusiasm and that same confidence up to the Cowboys, this will be a great game.
Now we're going to head to a break. After the break, we've got Rabbitohs Seagulls and Warriors Bulldogs. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Let's get into Rabbitohs Seagulls. Saturday, 7:35 at Accor Stadium. Totola, knee. Shakwire, Mitchell, ankle. Hame Saleh, concussion. They're all out. Daniel Saluka for feeder. Starts at prop. Jacob Host starts second row. And Blake Taff is back on the bench. Seagulls, no changes. What do you reckon about this game, Smithy?
I've been really impressed with the Seagulls. I really have. They're just, the way they come out and started the game last week against Parramatta. They're undefeated, of course. They've had a bye in there also, but they look good. They look good. And the inclusion of Schuster playing in number 6, I think he could probably, he's still got a little bit of work to do with his fitness, but he failed to finish the game the other night, didn't he? He came off with calf cramps, I think, towards the end. It was a pretty hectic sort of a game and very hot at kickoff. They kicked off at 8 o'clock and it was 30 degrees still. So they look really, really sharp with the footy in particular. The game sort of got away from them a little bit, and it's an early trend in the NRL I've seen across the first couple of weeks is that teams have been getting away to good starts, but then all of a sudden they clock off for a little bit. And then opposition find the scoreboard a couple of times, and then all of a sudden it's back to square, and then it's almost like a shootout of who can score the most points.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, "Hey, listen, we've kept you to not much early, and we'll keep you there."
Yeah.
We're happy to win the game from this point. We don't need to score more, but we'll just stop you from scoring. That's the only thing that I feel that Manly, if they're to address something leading into this game, would be that stick to your good starts. Obviously, that's the goal. You want to go out and have a good start. If you can grab some early points, that's great. And then just build your game from there. Don't try to chase more points or whatever. Just start to focus probably a little bit on your defence and minimising the opposition. Rabbitohs, though, they're always a threat. No matter who's playing out, who they've got in or who they got out, it doesn't really matter. They're always a threat. They've got classy players. And the only thing I'd say about the Rabbits, right, is like when they've got such quality players like Latrell Mitchell and Cody Walker, I'd love to see those two players in particular, Kempy, try to have a bit more input across the 80 minutes. They seem to drift in and out of the game at times. When you see them when they're on and they're touching the ball every set and they're having a big influence on the way their team's playing, like that's when South are on. And that's when they play their best footy. But the other night though against the Roosters, and I don't know whether it's that rivalry thing and there's a bit of emotion flying around the game and blah blah blah. They just seem to, I don't know, they just seem to drop out of the game at times.
Yeah.
Which they just can't afford. They're two of the best players in the competition. They need to be, having their hands on the footy regularly.
Yeah, because, they really can completely swing games. Absolutely swing games. With the Seagulls, in regards to that little, phase out or whatever, I agree with you, mate. I think it's not concerning at all for the Seagulls, but it is a part of their game where, what separates great teams essentially from any era, and you always attribute to them, is ruthlessness. Like, how ruthless are you? Like, do you go play 20 minutes of good footy, then go, all right, boys, let's keep throwing the ball around? Or do you have a set of principles and systems that, regardless of the score, you stick to? You look at Penrith, that's what they did. You look at the Storm for so long, that's what they do. And I think, like, Manly's in a really good position where they can be that too. They've just got to find a way to be ruthless for 80 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, mate, totally agree. And again, they've certainly got the team to do that. They just got to find that balance of playing that footy where it's up tempo and going after the opposition, trying to score some points, and then hey, righto, let's just drop it back a couple of gears, and let's just start to take control of this match through our defence. And that comes from the leaders, and the communication of the other players. I'm sure they're practicing a fair bit of their defensive stuff at training. Particularly with Anthony Seibold in charge. I think he'd be right across that. But, yeah, it's about having the ability to adapt in the middle of matches to say, righto, this is the style of footy we need to play now. Let's do this for the next little phase of play. And then when we need to ramp up a little bit and go after the game again, let's do that.
Yeah. No, totally agree. Going to be a cracking match now onto the Warriors versus the Doggies Sunday, 2 p.m. at Mount Smart Stadium. Chance Nickel-Klokstad returns at fullback. Jackson Ford returns second row. Egan is out with a concussion. Freddie Lussick named it hooker. Doggies, no changes to the team to beat the Tigers last week. How do you see this playing out?
I like this matchup.
Yeah.
I really do. Both teams are, they're playing some pretty good footy at the moment, and they're two clubs that haven't featured in the finals for a few seasons, and they're both sitting up in the top 8. So I really like the matchup. I like the Warriors at home. In fact, I think they're even money in the betting, but I'm leaning slightly towards the Warriors being back at Mount Smart Stadium. I think it's going to be a big crowd. Hopefully, there's some good weather over there Sunday arvo. I like the Warriors. I was really impressed with their win away from home, particularly in Townsville. Going up there, I don't think too many people give them a chance of playing, particularly with the conditions and whatnot going up there. But I like them.
Well, the Warriors season, when you look at the only loss they had was against a Roosters at Roosters home.
Yeah, and just.
It
was 8 points.
If anything, Roosters bombed some chances, but there was a period at the end of the game where Warriors had wrestled momentum back and they bombed like 2 or 3 chances.
Yeah.
So it's a great start to the year. I'm going to go Doggies only because, I don't know, I think there might be some energy around that win last week. Yes, the Tigers came back in, but there's some energy around the club at the moment that I'm really liking. I love Burden back to running first and then ball playing second.
Yep.
On the weekend, he was constantly threatening with the ball, looked like he was back to his best. He got Reed Marnie an extra week to work with Burton and Flanagan. It's going to be I think it's going to be a tight clash. I can obviously see either side winning, but I'm just going to go Doggies. I don't know. For some reason, there's something about that side that I like.
With Matt Burton, and you talk about his ability to run the footy, and that should be his go-to. That's his first instinct. Do you reckon 6 is still his position?
Well, some people have tossed up that he's a centre.
Yeah.
But I think 6 is still his position. He just needs a 7 that can take care completely of the organisation of the game. And Flanagan has stepped up the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
Because apparently Carl Oluwapu, I think his name is, young gun that was at the Broncos, now he's at the Bulldogs, been killing it in reserve grade. And I think he was 18th or 19th man last week.
Yep.
So I think there's a little bit of a message sent to Flano. It's now or never for you.
Okay.
And I think Flano's been decent the last 2 weeks. I really do.
Yeah.
So it is going to be interesting to see. So Birdo's just always going to think run first, in my opinion. Similar to Jackie Whiten. Just run first. Everything else will take care of itself. Yep. With the Warriors, I think Chance at the back is going to be really good for him, especially in defence. Even though Tuapiki was really good on debut, he's going to be fantastic. But Montoya, mate, I love watching him play.
Yeah.
Far out hasn't he gone from strength to strength. Another interesting bit about this game as well is Penrith assistant coach versus Penrith assistant coach. Serraldo versus Webster.
Yeah.
So there'll be a lot of little mind games going on there.
Wow. Good. I agree with you with Montoya. He's such an athlete.
He's made of granite.
Such an athlete.
Every time he runs the ball, it looks like it hurts the defenders to tackle him. He's so big and strong.
Yeah. Imagine being that powerful.
Oh, so big.
And
what is
fast.
it? 6'3"? Mate, seriously.
What a weapon.
What a weapon. Now we're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to preview Knights versus Raiders, Dragons versus Sharks. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Knights versus Raiders, Sunday, 4 p.m, McDonald Jones Stadium. Saifidi has been named after suffering a shoulder injury last week. Jaden Brayley returns at hooker. Dominic Young is out, replaced on the wing by Greg Marju. Tyson Brazil has been named in the reserves and could return from an ankle injury, while Kurt Mann returns at lock. Papali'i returns from a calf injury. First game of the year. Emra Gula moves to the bench. Trey Mooney is out. Zach Wolford replaces Danny Levi at hooker. How do you see this game playing out, mate?
Yeah, well, it's great to see some big names returning for the Newcastle Knights. They've had a plethora of players out to start the season. It's been a difficult start for the team and coach Adam O'Brien. And they're taking on a Raiders side they've been playing some pretty tough footy, as I think everyone's used to seeing them play at the moment. Josh Papali'i, big in for the Raiders, the big man playing in the middle. First game of the year for him.
Oh, actually, I want to ask you something about the Knights.
Yeah.
Because on my podcast on Monday, I basically said that although they were missing all those players, I thought that it was a very disappointing loss against the Dolphins because my feelings were the Dolphins, a lot of the players, although they are first graders this year and they've proven it, last year were considered basically reserve graders, and some of them are struggling to find a club. And I thought on paper that although, the Dolphins forward pack was a little bit better, that the Knights backline was better than the Dolphins one. So on paper it was not a directly even, but a fairly even clash. And I thought 36 points leaking was quite disappointing. Yep. Got quite a lot of pushback from Knights fans saying that's super unfair.
Really?
It wasn't disappointing. You're being too harsh on the boys. What do you reckon, Smithy?
Oh, I think when you can see that many points, I think it'd be disappointing. We'll put it this way. I don't think the players nor the coach Adam O'Brien would have been happy with that performance. I don't think they would have gone into the sheds after the game and thought, "Oh, hey boys, you know what? That was a great effort." I think that they would have finished that game thinking we could have won it, and we probably should have won it. There was chances there to do it. Of course, it's going to be a little bit harder with some inexperienced players and some young guys playing in some of those positions for the team that have to come up with some crucial plays or decisions throughout the match. But conceding that many points, I think if you're playing first grade, you should be able to defend your try line a little bit better than that. So it's a big score line, it's a large amount of points to concede. And I'm sure, knowing Adam O'Brien quite well and the type of coach he is, he would have. There would have been areas of the game that he would have been happy with. There's no doubt about that, mate. There's no doubt about that. But I think there would have been some points and some vision shown to that footy side to say, hey, listen, look where we are. Look at the stage of this game. Look at the opportunities. We've let this one slip. We need to be better. And there's no doubt they can be better. I think off the back of the Raiders' pretty gutsy effort on the weekend at home against the Sharkies, I think they can win this one. I think they can win 2 in a row.
Yeah, the Raiders, for me, the confidence that they can build from that win. Sometimes when you're having all these, Raiders seem to find themselves in this year after year where they have these 2-point wins or 1-point win. It's almost like they love the battle. They make it hard for themselves.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. Like it's, people talk about, oh, that was an ugly win. Yeah, like if you haven't played your best, and you probably look at it and go, yeah, it was ugly, but it's just the way Canberra play.
Yeah,
they drag you into this sort of like dogfight, bit of arm wrestle style of footy. That really it upsets a lot of opposition teams, and they don't overly feel comfortable playing that style of footy, and that's how Canberra get you, and they pick up their wins. I think they'll do the same to Newcastle, and as I said, a lot of big names returning, which is great. I think it may be another week off before we see them start to return to their style of footy, their best style of footy. Papali, as I mentioned, big in. I like Zach Wolford. I really do. He replaces Denny Levi. Of course, Denny Levi picked up a broken jaw. I like Zach Wolford as a dummy half. He's not the biggest guy getting around, but he's a really strong defender. Yeah. Any opportunities he gets at dummy half when he's got the footy in hand, he will capitalise. He will take you on. He's just a style of player that he attacks both with ball in hand and when he's defending. Yep.
He's going to be. I think it'll be first game this year as well. So good opportunity for him to cement that spot. Now Dragons v Sharkies, the clash,
the derby.
Tony Couchman returns after suffering a head knock in round 2. So Michael Molo is out, and Nico Hines has been named for first game of the year.
Reigning Dally M medalist.
Braden Trindle moves to the bench.
Reigning Dally M medalist.
Wow.
Mayor of the Shire.
Oh, wow.
What else?
Mayor of our hearts.
Everything.
Seriously. Mayor of hair products.
All of it. He's a great man, Nico. We love him. He's coming back from quite a serious calf injury. We spoke to him, leading into round 1?
Yeah.
He didn't let on, did he?
We were kind of like, usually when
he led us down a path.
Yeah. He was like, oh, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Whereas when you're coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's taken him a month.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I'm a little bit hesitant to see or trying to back the Sharks here, Kempy.
Oh, wow, you going Dragons?
Yeah, well, calf injuries, I know they wouldn't send him back early.
Confidence, though.
But just confidence, and he's always good when he's running the football, Nico.
Yeah.
I might back the Dragons.
Oh, well, I'm going Sharkies. That was our round preview thanks to Game Day Squad. Create, coach, and compete in fantasy footy. Be the coach and win. Play now. After the break, we're going to share our sure thing picks for round 4, which are probably going to be wrong, like they have been every single week since we started the program. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Now, let's get into the last games of the round. No, sorry, the sure thing. Sorry, let's get back to the sure thing. Now,
you start. You go your sure thing,
okay,
please.
let's now share our sure thing for Sure Hire, the temporary work experts, surehire.com.au. So I have been wrong every week. I went to Storm, they lost. I went to Storm again, they lost. I'm going to Storm again, Smithy.
No.
I'm going to Storm again.
What?
They're going to
Against
beat
the West Tigers?
Of course. If they don't beat the Tigers, seriously, what is going on here? What is going on? And also, it's a win-win situation for me because if I've cursed the club, that's a good thing. So
Righto.
I'm just going Storm every week.
Righto, my sure thing. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go.
Yep.
Jump on them. Warriors.
Wow.
At home against the Doggies.
I like it.
Third win of the season for the Warriors coming up.
Mate, not bad at all. Thanks for listening, everyone. Make sure to download the app. Also, you can follow the Captain's Run on all good podcasting apps. Give us a follow on Instagram. Give us a follow on TikTok. Even on Twitter, Captain's Run NRL. We are everywhere. And make sure to tune in next week, 12 till 3, New South Wales time.